That was nice and easy. And once we have our pre-save hook in place, now let's finally hash the password. As a side note, in between the videos, I did remove my John user from database. So in my Postman, I'll be able to reuse the values. And essentially the steps are following. First, we want to start with an install. So let me stop the server. And in this case, I'm going to clear the console. And as I note, a nice nifty trick is going with Control and L, which pretty much removes it. So for many years, I've been typing clear, but you can actually do it with Control and L. And of course, that is on the Mac, but you can go to my Twitter and you can find one of the tweets where you'll find the options for Windows as well. And we want to go with npm install bcrypt. So let me grab this line of code, copy and paste, and then let's start up our server. And once our server is up and running, it actually looks like I forgot to add import the bcrypt in the user model. Now, it is kind of self-explanatory, but let me just add it over here. So let me go with bcrypt, and I'm going to call the actual variable bcrypt. But remember that that is coming from the library. So bcrypt.js, and let's add here import. So import in, and then user, and then model. Let's save that one, and now let's actually go to the user model and look for the bcrypt one. So we're looking for the package. And like I said, I'm going to call this bcrypt just so it's a little bit faster, but keep in mind where it's coming from. So bcrypt.js. And then we want to keep on scrolling. And in our pre-save hook, we want to set up the functionality. Now, how is the functionality going to look like? Well, we'll have a few functions. First of all, there's going to be a hash function where we pass in the password as well as the salt. But before we can do that, we'll have to generate the salt. Now, it looks like I have a typo here. So it should be gen salt. Both of them are going to be asynchronous. And you can think of this one as creating extra characters. And these are just rounds that you pass in. Keep in mind that the more rounds you have, yes, it's going to be more secure, but it will also take longer time. And I believe 10 is a default. And essentially 10 rounds is a solid approach. So let's navigate back to our user. And then right away, let's set this up as a sync function. And what do we want to do? Well, we want to generate that salt, correct? So we go here with const salt is equal to, and then await, then the variable name. In my case, that is bcrypt, then dot, and then I'm looking for gen salt. And then we want to pass in the rounds, which is going to be 10. And what is the next step? Well, then I want to set my password, the one that I will have in the document, equal to something. Now, what is that something? Well, that is the value that I'm going to get back from the hashed one, where again, I'll pass in the password that is provided by the user, and I'll set up the document password equal to a hashed value. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's go over here with this dot password. Remember, we just logged it in the previous video. So we know that we can access it. And we're going to go with await, then again, bcrypt, and then dot, and now we're looking for the hash. And instead of the hash, we pass in this dot password. So again, whatever the user is providing. And then the second value is going to be the salt. And once we set this one up, let's try it one more time in a Postman. And as a result, we should see our password nicely hashed when we store it in our database. So let me navigate to my Postman and let me send it one more time. And what do you know? I have name, email, and look at the password. Now, keep in mind that, of course, we're not going to be sending back this password to a front end. So this is just temporary, just so we can see whether our functionality works. Yes, eventually we'll actually remove the password from our response because it's not a good approach to send those passwords in the first place. And with this in place, now we can start focusing on setting up the JSON web token.